Hey everybody, I'm Brendan72Mo. The Bikers DLC for GTA Online has been out for 2 weeks now, so it's time for me to do my DLC analysis video. If you're new to my channel, I provide fairly comprehensive coverage of each new DLC for GTA Online. I do my best to create videos that highlight each new addition to the game, and then after it's been out for a week or two, I have one of these longer analysis videos where I share my opinions about everything that we've received with each DLC. I'll be following the format that I typically use for these videos, where I break down each category, vehicles, properties, new game modes, etc., and assigning them a score from 1 to 10. At the end of the video, I'll have a conclusion and a final overall score for the Bikers DLC. So let's get started with the new vehicles. Even though all of the new vehicles haven't been released yet, I was able to use a single player mod on PC to spawn them, so I have a good idea of what we're going to be getting. With the name Bikers DLC, this update was obviously very heavy on new bikes. 14 new bikes have been released so far, with 4 more to come, for a total of 18 new bikes. There are some bikes that definitely stand out from the pack in terms of their appearance, but there are a handful of bikes, especially most of those from the Western Motorcycle Company, that are way too similar to each other in my opinion. Unless I actually get on the bike or just use the overhead display in a garage, I'm hard pressed to be able to quickly spot the difference between the Zombie Bobber and Chopper, the Wolfsbane, and the Damon. And even though the Rat Bike is essentially just a rusty version of the Wolfsbane, at least its weathered appearance helps it to stand out. Pricing on the new bikes is mostly reasonable, though there are a few exceptions that really feel overpriced. And if the rumors about the unreleased vehicles are to be believed, there are some outright blatant cash grabs coming that exist solely to drive shark card sales. When it comes to performance, most of these bikes aren't all that impressive. Sure, the Haikachu Drag is the new fastest bike in the game in terms of racing, but most of the others sit somewhere in the middle of the pack. It'll be interesting to see how the 4 bikes that are yet to be released will perform. But the good thing about having so many new bikes is that there's a good variety to choose from. I'm glad Rockstar didn't just go with a bunch of chopper-style bikes and call it a day. With such a huge variety, those wishing to form motorcycle clubs can choose from sport bikes, dirt bikes, choppers, and, well, even scooters. Most of the new bikes also feature quite a few customization options that allows you to customize your ride and set it apart from other players. I do wish Rockstar had included some unique customizations for each bike though, as you're pretty much choosing from the same set of visual modifications over and over again. And the bikes aren't without their flaws. The Western Chimera 3-wheeled bike has a glaring quality testing oversight with its front brake disc not being centered inside of the wheel. And with the Bikers DLC, it seems to be much easier to fall off your bike now than it was previously. Interestingly enough, older bikes don't seem to be impacted by this problem. I was riding my Batty 801 and noticed that my character stayed firmly planted on the seat in minor collisions, but when I ride one of the new bikes, he goes flying off at the slightest impact. Now, I get that there is a new favorite bike feature that improves, among other things, your ability to stay on a bike in a crash, but it feels like Rockstar made it easier to fall off on most bikes, and that your favorite bike just returns things to normal levels. Instead, they should have just left it alone and made it to where you're practically super glued to your favorite bike, much like you are in any bike in stunt races. This DLC also included one of the biggest disappointments to date in any DLC, the BF Raptor. That car is completely unique in the game, and it sports a great, fresh new look, but its comical handling renders it useless for anything but a few laughs. Rockstar really dropped the ball with the Raptor. And while I'm talking about vehicles, I have to mention one major thing that's missing from this DLC: the Lost Slam Van. Players have wanted the ability to buy this truck for ages now. People even used to go so far as to glitch the Lost Slam Van into their garage in the past. If ever there was a perfect time to finally give us the ability to buy it, Bikers DLC was it. Now, who knows? Since the truck already exists in the game, maybe Rockstar will surprise us and unlock it for purchase. But I wouldn't really hold my breath for that one. Wrapping up the vehicle section, the new bikes and upcoming other vehicles aren't without their flaws, but there is a lot of variety, pricing is mostly okay, customization options are pretty good if not repetitive, and performance is what you'd expect from a bunch of bikes. Overall, I give the new vehicles an 8.5 out of 10. Moving on to the new weapons, once again Rockstar hit just the right note with what we saw. The new melee weapons are an excellent addition to the game, especially when you factor in the new ability to use melee weapons from a bike. The actual guns that were added are okay, but there's nothing that brings any new power to any of the respective categories. The design of each, however, does really fit the biker's theme quite well, and the ability to use each of them from a bike is great. My only complaint is that each of the new weapons are a bit overpriced for what they actually offer, and the ammo capacity is a bit too low in my opinion. There really isn't much else to say about the new weapons, and I give them an overall score of 7.5 out of 10. Next up is the style category, including all the new clothing, hairstyles, and tattoos. The pre-made outfits that are available are spot on for each theme that they're trying to represent, and most of them are fairly reasonably priced. There are a ton of new clothing items that allow you to update your existing outfits or create something entirely new without running the risk of wandering the streets of Los Santos in the exact same clothes as other players. Like the bikes that were included, the clothing includes enough variety to allow you to create a style that fits in with whatever type of motorcycle club you wish to join. There's also a few new hairstyles to complement your new look, and they're fine. I don't know, I never really get all that excited over new hairstyles in GTA Online. But the new tattoos are fantastic. They're detailed, many are quite colorful, and they capture the biker's spirit perfectly. Overall, I give everything in the style category an 8 out of 10. That brings us to the new properties. The new properties for the Bikers DLC are the MC clubhouses and the business properties. I think Rockstar did a good job of giving us a wide variety of not only pricing options, but also locations for these properties. Sure, to save money, you're going to be looking at Blaine County, but that's not really a bad thing. I think the northern half of the map gets way too neglected by GTA Online players, as there's a ton to do out there and a lot of area to explore. So getting players to migrate north is a good thing in my opinion. Unlike the previous properties in Further Adventures in Finance and Felony, the cost of entry to get an MC clubhouse up and running really isn't that bad. You get a fairly decent set of customization options for your MC clubhouse, and it's really cool to have a mechanic on site to upgrade your rides, even if it is an expensive option. The gun safe makes a return in the clubhouses, and I'm still rather annoyed that Rockstar has chosen this blatant cash grab route of customizing your weapon wheel when old gen has the ability to simply permanently drop weapons at no cost that you no longer wish to carry. But the clubhouses offer some fun activities, and the bartender is a nice touch. She's a tough old gal who's not afraid to speak her mind, and I think it's cool that she addresses each member of the MC with scripts that are unique to the role that they have within the motorcycle club. With some of the properties having a fairly low base purchase price, you can realistically spend only a couple of hours running a few missions to get together enough cash to buy one. And when you're ready to get a business up and running, you once again have a huge number of options in terms of both price and location, as well as the ability to choose several different business types. I really appreciate that latter point, as having the ability to own different business types not only gives you more diversity in scenery, but it also breaks away from the monotony that came with the endless routine of collecting crates over and over and over again for the warehouses in Further Adventures in Finance and Felony. The upgrades for your businesses are quite expensive, but they do seem to really help. Not only do you increase the value of your product, but the security system significantly decreases your chances of getting raided. Of course, you're going to need to deliver a ton of product to get a return on your investment, but at least the upgrades with the Bikers DLC seem to have a much bigger impact than the upgrades that you could purchase for a warehouse in Further Adventures in Finance and Felony. Speaking of properties, I think it's really weird that Rockstar hasn't made a peep about giving free apartments to newly created second characters. Because of the lack of information, I'm not really sure if every new second character gets a free apartment or if there's some level threshold or other requirement before you receive it. You'd think that Rockstar would want to trumpet these free properties from the mountaintops in an effort to diffuse the ongoing claim that they're just a bunch of greedy cunts trying to get you to buy shark cards. Promoting free $200,000 and up properties would have been a great PR move, but oh well. The biggest news here, though, is the addition of a 6th property slot. This was a very welcome addition to many players, myself included, who were growing tired of deciding which vehicles to sell off in order to make room for the new DLC stuff. When you factor in the 10 slots for bikes in the MC Clubhouse, you can now have up to 20 additional vehicles per character in GTA Online. Sure, I guess some people may use that 6th property to buy another apartment or still house or whatever, but for me, it simply meant more garage space, and that's something I've been desperately hoping for nearly a year. With a good variety in prices and locations, plus their customization options and gameplay potential, the property changes in the Bikers DLC get a 9 out of 10. With the new properties comes a lot of new additions to actual gameplay. For me, the best additions here are the new MC contract missions and challenges. Once again, Rockstar kicked it up a notch and gave us a lot more diversity than we previously saw with the VIP and CEO work and challenges. Not only is there a greater variety of things to do to earn some cash, but the contract missions themselves are scripted in such a way that you actually feel part of what's going on instead of just going through the motions of completing a job for RP and cash. I especially love how NPCs and vehicles are incorporated into all of this. Many of the contract missions have you fighting alongside NPCs that are fairly deadly with their guns, and they have a good mixture of dialogue to bring about a feeling of immersion of the story. And while many of the MC challenges can feel a bit arbitrary, they at least offer some new ways to go head to head against fellow MC members. The missions for running a business are fairly well executed as well. Granted, I still resent that Rockstar has intentionally designed these in a way to increase our chances of failure with the public lobby requirement, but at least there are ways to avoid as much risk than with the previous crate running system. Once you have a business up and running, aside from the absurdly high maintenance and operating costs, you can simply steal all of the supplies that you need to keep things humming along nicely. If you've stolen all of your supplies, there's far less risk involved when you're ready to deliver your product. So when some asshat troll goes off the radar in his Hydra, which he bought to compensate for his tiny penis and lack of gaming skill, by the way, but when that guy tries to blow up your product during deliveries, you don't risk losing a lot of money. Sure, you miss out on some potential income, but the MC businesses just have lower overhead costs and, by extension, far less risk. Just go steal some more supplies and start over. Aside from the operating cost, you're not risking nearly as much of your own money in these missions. And the delivery missions have enough variety to keep things interesting for quite a while. But like nearly every DLC before it, the Bikers DLC also introduced a new adversary mode. In my last DLC analysis video, I ranted about Rockstar's need to move beyond something other than new adversary modes. I won't repeat that rant here, but I do think Slipstream underscores my point. If you launch any of the Slipstream adversary modes, you'll see that they have terrible ratings. Most of them are hovering right around the 35% approval rating, which means that nearly 2/3 of people who have played them have hit that thumbs down button. I hope Rockstar gets the message, but I seriously doubt it. According to all the rumor mongers in the GTA Online community, there are a couple more new adversary modes arriving in the coming weeks. Here's hoping that they're not as poorly executed as the incredibly boring Slipstream. While there are a lot of new gameplay options available in free mode lobbies, the public lobby requirement and the poorly designed Slipstream brings this category's overall score down to only 6.5 out of 10. And finally, there's all of the smaller features, additions, and bug fixes that come with each DLC, but really don't fit into just one overall category. When you're in an MC, you now have the ability to ride into formation, which gives you a health and armor boost and repairs your bike. It's an interesting mechanic on the surface, but it's one I rarely see anyone taking advantage of. I guess there might be some players who really take the role-playing aspect of an MC seriously, and they'll dig it, but I've yet to see any players using the riding formations beyond a, hey, this is cool, let's try it out and then forget about it type approach. Being able to use a melee weapon on all bikes is a really cool new feature though. Being on a bike leaves you far more exposed to enemies than being in a car, so it's nice to have an extra defense option to counter that exposure. And I suppose if Rockstar is going to be hell-bent on giving people the ability to choose outfit styles for the people in their MC, at least letting each player choose their own from within the style category is better than having a CEO force an outfit on you. The roles for the MC are a nice touch as well. Instead of just having one player at the top who has all of the control and best special abilities, these are now divvied up among the various roles. Though I rarely see anyone actually assigning roles, there are some rather useful things that each role has available that can really help out in gameplay. And the Road Captain can spawn the rare Dubsta too, which makes getting those rare golden chrome Dubstas much easier. I'll have a separate video about that sometime in the next couple of weeks. While the update notes have page after page after page of bug fixes, the Bikers DLC introduced several new bugs of its own. For reasons I cannot quite comprehend, players are often kicked out of their own personal vehicles when an MC mission or a delivery is completed. This can be a huge problem if you're dumped into the middle of a busy highway or if you have enemy players chasing after you. And it's especially dangerous when you've been traveling in a helicopter. Your passengers are all suddenly ejected out, and if you're flying low to the ground or they weren't paying attention, they're dead. I hope this problem gets fixed soon. There's some other weird bugs that appear from time to time as well. I've had a contract mission begin with a 3-star wanted level for no apparent reason. Now, while this made for some hilarious footage during a live stream, it could get really annoying if that keeps happening. I could go on and on about the various new bugs and quirks that came with the Bikers DLC, but instead, I'm just gonna hope that they get that stuff sorted out sooner rather than later. Many of these new features and bug fixes are kinda cool, even if they're kinda forgettable, but the clear lack of quality testing on Rockstar's part has brought new bugs into the game, bringing the miscellaneous category down to a score of only 5.5 out of 10. So that's going to wrap it up for my analysis of the Bikers DLC for GTA Online. If you've been following the scores, you already know that this DLC gets an average score of 7.5 out of 10. And that's not a bad score, and it's definitely higher than I gave to Further Adventures in Finance and Felony. My coverage of the Bikers DLC isn't finished with this video, however. I'll still be covering all the new content that gets released as part of this update over the next few weeks, plus I'll be creating a few GTA Online quick tip videos showing you how to make the most money in the quickest and easiest ways possible with the new features from the Bikers DLC. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and get subscribed if you haven't already. And leave a comment down below letting me know if you agree or disagree with any of the points that I've made in my DLC analysis. I'm Brendan72Mo, and I'll see you in the next video.
Hey, I'm gonna chalk that one down as a win. That's good work for your club.